every 2 hours. That is how often you reapply sunscreen. $13 billion a year depends on that ritual, but there is a fern in Central America that offers systemic antioxidant support to help skin cells cope with ultraviolet stress from the inside. And by the end of this video, you will know which plant this is, why an entire industry needs you to never find it, and how to grow it at home. This is Garden Explained with Harry, and today we are looking at a plant the sunscreen industry would rather you never heard of. Walk into any pharmacy right now, look at the sunscreen aisle, count the bottles, dozens of brands, mineral formulas, chemical formulas, SPF 30, SPF 50, SPF 100, sport versions, baby versions, face versions, body versions, lip versions. Every single one comes with the same instruction. Apply generously. Reapply every 2 hours. Reapply after swimming. Reapply after sweating. Reapply after toweling off. The product is designed to be consumed and repurchased endlessly. A family of 4 at the beach uses an entire bottle in a single day. At $15 to $20 per bottle, one summer costs hundreds of dollars. The global sunscreen market reached $13.3 billion in 2023. It is projected to exceed $20 billion by 2030. This is not a product. It is a subscription you never signed up for. Now consider what is actually inside those bottles. In 2019, the United States Food and Drug Administration conducted its own absorption study on common sunscreen chemicals. They applied sunscreen to volunteers under normal conditions. Then they tested blood samples. 6 active ingredients were detected in the bloodstream after a single application. One of them, oxybenzone, appeared at concentrations 400 times above the threshold the Food and Drug Administration itself considers safe. 400 times! From one application on one afternoon, the agency requested additional safety data from manufacturers. That request went out in 2019. As of today, the data has still not been fully delivered. Hawaii responded first. In 2021, the state banned sunscreens containing oxybenzone and octinoxate after research linked them to coral reef destruction along the Maui coastline. Palau followed. Key West followed. The European Union flagged homosalate and octocrylene for further review. The very chemicals sold as protection are now being questioned by the same governments that approved them. But here is what almost nobody discusses. There is a completely different approach to ultraviolet protection. One that does not sit on top of the skin. One that does not wash off in water. One that does not require a bottle, a label, or a reapplication timer. And it has been used for centuries by people who spend their lives working under the most intense sun on the planet. In Honduras, along the Miskito coast, the Miskito people have farmed and fished under equatorial sun for generations. They do not use lotions, they do not carry bottles. Their tradition involves a fern. The rhizome, the thick golden root structure that crawls along the forest floor, is harvested, dried, and brewed into tea. Miskito fishermen drink it before long days on open water. They have done this for as long as anyone remembers. They do not burn the way outsiders burn. In the highlands of the Andes, where ultraviolet intensity is 30 to 50% stronger than at sea level, indigenous communities use the same plant. Mountain farmers working above 3,000 meters in elevation, exposed to some of the harshest UV conditions on Earth, prepare the rhizome in the same way. Dry it, brew it, drink it before walking into the sun. In Paraguay, traditional healers use the same fern for psoriasis, dermatitis, and chronic skin inflammation. In Colombia, herbalists call it by a different name, but prepare it identically. Across Central and South America, from the Caribbean lowlands to the Andean peaks, this fern appears in folk medicine traditions that developed independently of each other. Separate cultures, separate centuries, the same conclusion. The plant is Polypodium leucotomos. Botanists sometimes call it the golden serpent fern for the snaking golden rhizome that spreads underground and surfaces between rocks and along the roots of ancient trees. In village markets across Honduras, Guatemala, and Peru, it is sold simply as calaguala. The naming problem is familiar. Calaguala in Honduras, Samambaia doce in Brazil, Helecho dorado in Colombia, a different name in every country. No unified identity in English. When a plant has no consistent Western name, it has no consistent presence in databases, in research funding, or in consumer awareness. The fragmentation was not deliberate, but the result was erasure. Spanish missionaries arrived in Central America in the 1500s. They cataloged hundreds of New World plants for commercial exploitation: cacao, tobacco, cinchona bark, which gave the world quinine for treating malaria. Plants with obvious trade value received names, classifications, ships, and markets. A fern that prevented sunburn had no commercial application in an era before sunscreen existed as a concept. The missionaries noted the indigenous practice in passing. Then the notes gathered dust for 300 years. It was not until the early 2000s that Western dermatologists finally took Polypodium leucotomos seriously. Researchers in Spain began clinical trials on an extract of the fern rhizome. They gave volunteers oral capsules containing the concentrated compounds. Then they exposed those volunteers to measured ultraviolet radiation and observed what happened. The subjects who took the fern extract required significantly more ultraviolet exposure before developing a sunburn. The technical threshold for this is called minimal erythema dose. It represents the point at which skin reddens under ultraviolet light. In the volunteers taking the extract, that threshold increased by a factor of 2 to 3. The same person, the same sun, the same skin type. But with the fern compounds circulating in their blood, their skin tolerated 2 to 3 times more radiation before damage occurred. The rhizome contains a combination of polyphenolic compounds including caffeic acid, ferulic acid, and chlorogenic acid. When consumed orally, these compounds enter the bloodstream and accumulate in skin cells. Once there, they neutralize the free radicals that ultraviolet light generates. They reduce the inflammatory response that causes redness and peeling. They block the enzymes that degrade collagen, and they prevent the immune suppression that ultraviolet exposure causes in skin tissue. Additional trials confirmed benefits beyond sunburn prevention. Patients with sun sensitivity conditions experience significant reductions in flare-ups. Patients with hyperpigmentation and melasma saw measurable improvement. The fern was not just preventing a burn, it was protecting against the deeper cellular damage that sunburn represents. The research exists, it is published, it is replicated, and it describes a fern doing internally what a $13 billion industry does externally. Search any major medical database for studies on sunscreen and UV protection. You will find tens of thousands of results. Search for Polypodium leucotomos and photoprotection. You will find fewer than 300. The ratio tells the same story that appears wherever a self-sustaining plant intersects with a commercial industry. Research follows funding. Funding follows patents. Patents require control. The entire sunscreen economy is built on one foundational assumption. Sun protection is a topical problem requiring a topical solution. Every product on that pharmacy shelf reinforces this frame. The frame generates reapplication. Reapplication generates repeat purchases. Repeat purchases generate $13 billion per year. When used as a daily supplement alongside traditional sun safety measures, it provides an extra layer of cellular defense against free radicals. You do not wash it off in the ocean. You do not need one product for your face, another for your body, another for your lips, and another for your children. The revenue model evaporates. The fern extract has been commercialized. A Spanish pharmaceutical company sells it as an oral sun supplement at $40 to $60 per month. But the marketing always positions it as a complement to sunscreen, never a replacement. The packaging instructs consumers to keep using topical protection. The framing preserves the existing market. It adds a revenue layer without threatening the one already in place. Now consider the fern itself, not the extract, not the capsule, not the branded supplement, the living plant. Polypodium leucotomos does not produce seeds. It reproduces through spores and through rhizome expansion. The golden rhizome spreads underground continuously. One healthy fern sends out new rhizomes in every direction. Each section of rhizome that separates becomes a new independent plant. Each new plant sends out more rhizomes. The colony expands on its own, year after year, no replanting, no purchasing new stock, no inputs from the grower at all. This is vegetative immortality. One fern becomes two, two become 10, 10 become a permanent colony that outlives the person who planted it. The process requires no technology. It requires no annual purchase. It requires no supply chain. Outdoors, the fern grows in USDA zones 9 through 11. This covers southern Florida, the Gulf Coast, coastal southern California, Hawaii, and equivalent climates worldwide. In cooler regions, it thrives as an indoor plant. A humid room with indirect light, well-drained soil rich in organic matter, a bathroom windowsill with morning sun, a shaded porch during warm months, a terrarium on a kitchen counter. The conditions mirror the forest floor where this fern evolved. Filtered light, consistent moisture, still, warm air. While commercial supplements rely on standardized, highly controlled extraction processes to isolate the safe, active hydrophilic fractions of the fern, raw, wild harvesting carries risks. Misidentifying fern species or consuming crude, unmeasured, homebrewed doses can lead to gastrointestinal upset or inconsistent dosing. This is the same preparation that Miskito fishermen have used along the Honduran coast for generations. The same preparation that Andean farmers rely on before climbing into mountain sun at altitudes where an unprotected visitor burns in minutes. Dried rhizome stores for years in an airtight container kept away from light and moisture. A single established colony provides ongoing harvests indefinitely through rhizome division. The cost after initial purchase is zero. A year of branded fern extract capsules costs between $500 and $700. A year of sunscreen for a family costs $300 to $500. The living fern costs once. It grows forever. A plant that propagates through rhizomes cannot generate repeat sales. A rhizome dried in your kitchen cannot generate processing revenue. A tea brewed at home cannot generate shelf space fees or distribution contracts or retail markup. The economics explain the silence more precisely than any conspiracy ever could. This is not suppression. This is structure. The system does not attack plants like Caliguala. The system simply has no mechanism to profit from them. No marketing budget is allocated, no advertising campaign is launched, no shelf space is purchased. 3 generations of Westerners have grown up without hearing the word Caliguala, not because anyone hid it, because no one had a financial reason to say it out loud. The fern does not need anyone to say its name. It has been spreading through the rainforests of Central and South America for millions of years. Its rhizomes push through soil and over rock and between the roots of trees that are themselves centuries old. Its spores drift on currents and settle in places no human has ever planted anything. The Miskito did not wait for a clinical trial to start drinking rhizome tea. The Andean farmers did not need a dermatologist to validate what their own skin already told them. The knowledge was never lost. It was simply never translated into a language that Western markets could monetize. The sunscreen aisle will still be there tomorrow morning. Dozens of bottles lined up under fluorescent lights. Dozens of chemical formulas now being questioned by the agencies that once approved them. Dozens of reapplication instructions designed to keep you purchasing all summer long. And somewhere on the Miskito coast of Honduras, a golden rhizome is pushing through the forest floor right now. It does not know what SPF means. It does not know about market projections or quarterly earnings or $20 billion forecasts. It has been doing this for longer than the sunscreen industry has existed, and it will still be doing it long after the last bottle on that shelf passes its expiration date.